Hi friends, welcome back to Making Manufacturing Fun, Cool, and Sexy. In the last episode, we talked about a big deal I believe deeply, that we stop building things, we stop leading. Today, I want to take that conversation one step further and talk about something that comes up often when I'm speaking with entrepreneurs, investors, or even friends in the industry. And that question is simple. Why does manufacturing actually matter for America today? Because for decades, we've heard a very common narrative that manufacturing belongs somewhere else, that it's cheaper somewhere else, that America has moved on to a service economy or a digital economy. But from where I sit, working inside a manufacturing business every day, the reality looks very different. In our shop, we machine precision components, small parts, big parts, but those parts go into systems doing incredible things. Medical devices that help detect diseases like cancer, robotic systems, semiconductor equipment, space technologies. When you see where these parts actually end up, you realize something important. Manufacturing isn't an outdated industry. It sits right at the center of some of the most advanced technologies in the world. And that's why the question of where manufacturing happens is so important. From my perspective, these are the three major reasons manufacturing belongs in America. And they have nothing to do with nostalgia or politics. They have everything to do with strategy. But before we get into those reasons, it helps to understand how we got here. My dad has spent almost 2 decades working in large tech companies here in Silicon Valley before starting his own machine shop. And during those years, he was part of the generation of engineers who were helping move manufacturing overseas. That was a dominant strategy at the time. Products were designed in Silicon Valley, but manufactured in Asia. And at the time, that decision made sense. Labor costs were lower. Factories were already built. Supply chains were expanding rapidly. For many companies, it seemed like the most efficient way to produce technology. But something happened over time. As manufacturing moved overseas, the United States began losing something more than just factory jobs. We began losing industrial knowledge. The knowledge that lives inside machine shops and factory floors. The knowledge of how things are actually being built. And today, we're starting to see why that matters. Which brings us to the very first reason manufacturing matters for America. The first reason is resilience. More specifically, supply chain resilience. Over the past few decades, supply chains became incredibly globalized. A product might be designed in California, manufactured in China, assembled in Southeast Asia, and then sent back to the United States. For many companies, this system was very efficient. Costs were lower, production could scale quickly, global logistics networks made it possible to move goods around the world with incredible speed. But what many people didn't fully appreciate was how fragile that system could become. And then COVID happened. Factories shut down, ports backed up. Shipping delays stretched from weeks into months. Suddenly, companies across multiple industries couldn't get the components they needed. Automotive companies couldn't get semiconductors. Hospitals struggled to source medical equipment. Manufacturers couldn't get basic industrial components. It was like watching a massive global machine suddenly stall. And what that moment revealed was something many manufacturing professionals had understood for years. The longer and more complex a supply chain becomes, the more vulnerable it becomes. When production happens thousands of miles away, disruptions ripple through the system in ways that are difficult to control. Weather events, political tensions, trade disputes, shipping disruptions, and even small problems can create major delays. Now, that doesn't mean globalization is going away. Global trade will always exist. But what many companies are realizing today is that some manufacturing capability needs to exist closer to home. Not necessarily everything, but strategically important production, critical components, industries tied to healthcare, national security, and advanced technology. Those industries benefit enormously from regional manufacturing ecosystems. And I see this shift happening in real time. Customers today are asking different questions than they were 10 years ago. They're not just asking about price, they're asking about lead time, supply chain stability. How quickly can we prototype and iterate designs? Speed and reliability are becoming just as important as cost. And that's where domestic manufacturing becomes incredibly valuable. Because when engineers can drive across town to visit a factory, when prototypes can be produced in days instead of months, when supply chains are measured in miles instead of oceans, innovation accelerates, and resilience improves. The second reason manufacturing belongs in America is something engineers understand very deeply. Innovation happens where you build things. There's a phrase that gets repeated often in manufacturing circles. You can't innovate what you don't build. Because innovation in physical products isn't just about ideas, it's about iteration. You design something, you prototype it, you test it. You then discover problems. Then you improve it. That cycle, design, build, test, improve, drives technological progress. But when manufacturing is thousands of miles away, that cycle slows down dramatically. Prototypes take longer. Communication becomes more difficult. Small design changes take weeks instead of days. Now compare that to what happens when engineering and manufacturing are located close to each other. An engineer can walk onto the production floor, talk to the machinist, look at the part, make an adjustment, test it again. Those fast feedback loops are incredibly powerful. And historically, some of the most innovative regions in the world operated exactly this way. Silicon Valley originally developed with engineering and manufacturing working side by side. Companies like Hewlett-Packard, Intel, and later Apple didn't just design products here, they built them nearby. Engineers and machinists collaborated closely, and that collaboration created incredibly fast innovation cycles. Today, we're entering another era where the proximity matters again, because the technologies shaping the future aren't just digital. They're physical systems, robots, medical devices, energy technologies, space hardware. All these industries depend on advanced manufacturing capability, which brings us to the third reason. The third reason manufacturing matters is economic. Manufacturing has something economists call a multiplier effect. When a manufacturing job is created, it often generates several additional jobs around it, 2.5 to be exact. Suppliers, tooling companies, material providers, logistics companies, maintenance services. Manufacturing creates entire industrial ecosystems. And those ecosystems support communities in powerful ways. Historically, manufacturing has been one of the most important drivers of middle-class prosperity in the United States. It created skilled technical careers. It supported families. It built stable local economies. But beyond job creation, manufacturing also builds something less visible but incredibly important: industrial knowledge. The knowledge of materials, machining processes, production engineering, quality control. This knowledge compounds over time. Regions that maintain strong manufacturing ecosystems accumulate expertise that makes them even more competitive. Regions that lose manufacturing often lose the knowledge very well as well. And rebuilding that capability later can take decades, which is why rebuilding manufacturing capability is not just an economic conversation, it's a long-term strategic one. Now, when we talk about bringing manufacturing back to America, it's important to understand something. The factories of the future will not look like the factories of the past. They will be powered by robotics, automation, AI, advanced manufacturing technologies. Automation changes the economics of manufacturing. Robotics increase productivity. Artificial intelligence improves production efficiency. Digital design tools allow engineers to move from idea to prototype faster than ever before. All of these technologies are compressing time. And that means America has an opportunity to rebuild manufacturing faster than many people think. Because while it took decades for manufacturing capability to move overseas, new technologies can accelerate the rebuilding process. And I'm already seeing signs of that shift. New factories opening, startups building robotic manufacturing systems, investments in domestic production, a new generation of engineers excited about building things again. All of these signals point towards something exciting. A new era of manufacturing in America. So when I say manufacturing belongs in America, I'm not just saying the United States should produce everything domestically. Global trade will always exist, but strategic manufacturing capability matters for resilience, for innovation, for economic strength, because the countries that build things shape the future. And I believe we're entering a moment where building things again will become one of the most exciting movements of our time. Because the future will not just be written in software, it will also be built in factories. Thanks everyone for listening. And as always, let's keep making manufacturing fun, cool, and sexy. I'll see you guys next time.